Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Hey guys, welcome in on a very happy, Monday to you here, May the 16th. And it is time to talk a little KBO Asian baseball as we are ready to go here at WagerTalk.com with two of the finest, really. There are none better as we welcome in Adam Trigger and Tokyo Brandon. Nobody cashes more tickets in the KBO and Asian baseball than these two right now. And Trig, a very happy Monday to you, coming off yet another profitable weekend, my friend. What do you got in store for us here on a $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com?
So I have a 5% in MLB tonight. Play I like quite a bit. That's up for it's just $9. It's Monday. And I'm going to give you the KBO play I played so far. It's a 4%er. I'm just going to give it out for free on the show. So stay tuned, and you'll get that at the end of the show for free.
Love it. All right, 5%er in the MLB, $9, guys, on his page at WagerTalk.com. And also visit Tokyo Brandon, who I know for a fact has himself an MLB 4% best bet up there as well. And how was the weekend, Tokyo Brandon? What else do we have going on at WagerTalk?
It was a bit of a roller coaster. On Friday, I went 7-0 in the KBO, and then on Saturday, I had a 5% play, which I lost. And then yesterday, I had a plus 10% day. So it's a bit up and down, but overall profitable. I do have a 4% play in the Major League tonight, and I also have a 4% play in Japanese baseball, which you can get both of them for $9 since it's $9 Monday at WagerTalk.
Nothing like it, guys. Make sure you visit both of them here tonight. Grab those best bets, and we're going to start by looking back, which is what we like to do, especially if you are new to us here on the KBO show at WagerTalk.com. We like to take a look here at what just happened. And, what happened is the race is tightening up towards the top there a little bit. SSG Landers, the LG Twins, the Doosan Bears, all getting pretty tight now, which is what a difference a couple of weeks makes here. Trig, it's kind of crazy, but talk to me about some of the takeaways from this past weekend here with the KBO.
Yeah, so I'll start with SSG just in general. They regressed a little bit, and I don't know that that's all that surprising because, like we've been talking about this whole season, these teams are not built to be able to withstand injuries. And even the best teams in this league typically don't have the depth to be able to handle their top guys or key players going out. You remember SSG from the beginning of the season. I think they won their first 11 games. They were like 13-1 at one point. But since then, they were without Sin-Shu Chu for a while, who's former major leaguer, one of their best hitters, and they were without Choi Jung, who is their 3-hitter essentially, starting third baseman. He never played at all in the series with NC. That burned me on last Friday. I thought he might be back, and he never came back at all last weekend. So, which leads me into just like injuries in general and tracking them, I think really puts you ahead of the odds makers in this league because the information is not widely available the way it is with Major League Baseball and some of the other, sports. So for SSG, that's something that we'll get into when we break that game down. But interested to see if Choi Jung is back in the lineup for tomorrow, because that kind of is a hole for SSG when he's not in there. And Chu, he's been back from his injury, but he was really slumping since returning from the injury up until Sunday, when he finally kind of had a breakout game, hit the home run, couple hits. So maybe he gets going. So that's just like the way I sort of look at that, and why they've sort of just ever so slightly have come back to the pack a little bit. And then just some other injury news. Doosan should get take him in back. He's their leadoff hitter. He's been out since May 1st, but he's expected to return tomorrow. So, that could be a really big that could be a big, boost for that offense. Getting the leadoff guy is so key. We saw it with Kia a couple weeks ago when Chan-Ho Park was out, how they really struggled to get things going offensively. He comes back and they rattled off a bunch of wins. So, that could be a huge boost for Doosan, getting Kim back. He's hitting 315 on the year, and they've been without him for the last 2 weeks. And then, one other guy that could return this week is Rio Ruiz. He hasn't been hurt, though. He's been down in the minors. And I'll let, Brandon kind of speak to this in a second. Something we see in KBO, if a guy's just not, if the guy's just not performing, they'll send him right down to the minors to send a message. They'll just say, you know what, you're going to go, and it's almost like a punishment in a lot of cases. And Ruiz, former Baltimore Oriole, comes over as the import position player for LG, hitting 171 on the season. And, after a month, they said, no, we're not going to deal with that. You're going to go to the minors, and you serve out your punishment a little bit. So he's been down there. I did read that he might return this week, so that'll be interesting to see, because typically when these guys come back after something like that, they do start to get going. So LG's been playing great as it is, but I would view that as a pretty big boost if Ruiz is suddenly back in that lineup. So the couple injuries and news and notes right there, but that could make a big difference if those guys return in the coming days.
Injuries certainly play a big role across the spectrum, whether it be the Japanese League, the KBO, MLB there, Brandon. But you did happen to notice that we might have a contender in our midst here now all of a sudden as the weeks continue to pass by. Tell me about Samsung.
The lion sleeps tonight.
Yeah, look at him.
Okay,
Yeah.
Enough. I got a couple of stat indicators here that tell me that the Samsung Lions are going to be contenders here as the season winds down. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but I do think that Samsung is on the right track. And there's a couple of specific stats that I keep track of. And one is how often teams use their bullpen. And Samsung is not using their bullpen hardly at all. They're the third least bullpen usage team in the KBO. And, if your starters, that's an indication that your starters are doing well. So if you look at Samsung's starting pitching, in 214 innings, they have a 1.35 WHIP and a 3.19 ERA collectively. That tells me that team is on the right track. Their bullpen is very mediocre, but when you're only using them, partially, you're not really relying on your bullpen like a team like Hama is. That's not a bad thing. And on top of that, Samsung is the third best hitting team. So I see a lot of indicators that Samsung could be on the rise today. The lion sleeps tonight.
Yeah.
Not sleeping, though.
Yeah, not sleeping, though. Yeah, there she is. Look at that. You go, girl. All right. That's what I'm talking about here, Trig. All right, so let's dive in here. We've got a contender. We've got injury concerns. And we've got Doosan taking SSG Landers here as our opening game. We're going to focus on this with Landers opening up money line minus 130. The total is 8 in this one here, Trig. So start us off. Who are you leaning towards in this one?
So just on paper, this matchup's pretty close to me. And I didn't bet this for me, it's going to come down to the two players that I spoke about in the last segment. Um, you know, whether they're back or not back. So SSG, I think, with Young out, there's a little bit of a hole in that lineup. He's the 3 hitter, and he's one of their more productive guys. Like I said, we didn't see him all weekend, and SSG, they lost 2 of 3 to NC, and really didn't hit the ball at all until the Sunday game, when NC just didn't have great pitching lined up in that game. So if he's out again and Doosan gets their leadoff guy back, which that looks to be a pretty much a certainty that he's going to return to for this game, I probably would lead toward Doosan, because Ivan Nova to me is a hard fade. I think he's the worst he's one of the worst import pitchers in this league. He's a big name. That's really all he is at this point. He's 35 years old. His best days are well behind him, in my opinion. 5.27 ERA, 1.39 WHIP. He's someone I'd be looking to oppose going forward. And Young Ha Lee was good last time out. That's Doosan's starter, but he's been awful as a starter. I still don't understand why he's not in the bullpen, because he was great as a closer for Doosan last year when they had him in the pen. But it looks like they really want to continue to trot him out there as a starter for whatever reason. So I don't love either starter, but I definitely want to play against Nova. And I think if Jung is still out for SSG, I'd probably look to the plus price with Doosan in this game.
All right, looking at the plus price here. What do you think here, Tokyo Brandon? Is there money to be made with a dog, or what do you got? Oh, no.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Oh, no. Oh, Brooke. Oh, Brooke.
Put in the comments who made that quote. Okay, and I'll give you one of my plays for free tomorrow. The first person who tells me who that quote is from in the comments section. Okay, so I think this is a rare chance to play against SSG. As we know, SSG has been the juggernaut, as Adam said in the preview show. They're on a crash course to win the championship, as he predicted so wisely earlier, and they are. They're playing great. But I think this is a rare chance to bet against the juggernaut because, as Adam said, Ivan Nova playing awful. If you look, I'm not a big fan of Lee Young Ha, the Doosan starter. However, if you look at his numbers, he's got a better FIP, he's got a better K per 9, and he's got a better ERA than Nova. On top of that, I have Doosan's bullpen ranked number 3, where I have SSG's bullpen. They've been absolutely putrid. I have them as 7. So with the lineups fairly negligible, I think the bullpen is going to be the difference here. So I think this is a chance to take the underdog. My numbers have Doosan a minus 116 favorite here. So I actually released this to clients earlier. It's a small 2% play, but I have Doosan on the money line here.
All right, liking Doosan on the ML here, guys, in our featured matchup, the Bears and SSG Landers. And then, of course, if you are new to the show, we also like to take a look at one of the upcoming series that will be played here over the next few days early on in the week. And talk to us here, Trig, because I believe that team that somebody on this panel called a contender has an interesting matchup coming up. Talk to us.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying I don't disagree with that one bit. Samsung's pretty good. I totally agree with what Brandon said, that they could be in the mix. They have 2 really good import starters. I think I said prior to the season, 1 through 5 in the Samsung lineup is as good as you're going to find in the league. It's the bottom of their order that holds them back a little bit, but Brandon's right. They've been getting great starting pitching. They haven't had to use their bullpen a ton. So they're a solid team, without a doubt. With that being said, I think Tuesday's matchup is very good for Hanwha, and I'll get to that in best bets. Little spoiler right there. But one of the weak sort of links for Samsung so far this season has been Jung-hyun Beck. He's probably been their worst starter at this point. Maybe minus like when they try to go with a bullpen game, which they do from time to time. He's leaving everything up. He's giving up a ton of fly balls, many of which have left the building. He just hasn't been very good. And in my opinion, here, when you can get Hanwha at home plus 1.5 with a run head start in the game, I think it makes kind of sense to go against him and a Samsung team that's won 4 straight. You might be coming in a little bit overconfident because Hanwha's at the bottom of the league. But, Hanwha, this team, I've said it on this show a couple times, they're very scrappy. They're probably better than their record. Their record is that 12-26 record, in my opinion, is a complete reflection of the fact that they lost their 2 import starters for the majority of this season so far. Now, Ryan Carpenter, I meant to bring this up in the first segment, not listed on the injury report this week. I think the idea was to bring Ryan Carpenter back over the weekend, but they decided he wasn't ready. He never pitched. But it does look like he's not on the injury report. So what that tells me is he's with the team. Whether that means we're going to see him or not is we'll see. It's hard to figure out, right? Like they might have him with the team. He might be throwing a simulated game. So I don't know if we'll see him in the game. But if we do, that is a massive boost for Hanwha. So something to look for if he just suddenly pops up as a starter in this series. I think it's very interesting that Han was going with a bullpen game to start the series here because, their bullpen hasn't been terrible. Like as bad as it that it looks, because the reason they've been so bad, the bullpen, is because they've had to pitch so many innings without these top starters. And even with that, the 4.35 bullpen ERA is not the worst in the league. That's really, and last year that would have been pretty good. Like that was actually, a decent, if you look at last year's numbers. So in my opinion, they're going to have Min-Woo Lee start here. I wouldn't be too concerned with his numbers because I don't think he's going more than one time through the order. And I think they can piece together a game here because they had the off day yesterday and they actually got decent starting pitching on Sunday. And they only had one reliever really work, more than like an inning. And of course they had the day off yesterday. So I think Hanwha at home plus 1.5 coming off a win, plus 1.5 is like minus 110, minus 115. I really like that in the opener. But if you see some of these guys, if they start trotting out relievers after they burn through relievers early in the series, you would have to look to Samsung. Samsung had a rain out last week, so they can do whatever they want with their pitching in the next couple games. They can go Tae-in-Wan, they could go Buchanan. So, if Hanwha starts burning through the pitching, Samsung will win those games against the lesser relievers. So I would say Hanwha is a good bet on Tuesday, but look to see what they do with the pitching because Samsung might be a layup later in this series.
It could absolutely be opportunity knocking there with Samsung there and Hanwha. That begins, of course, tomorrow, guys. Tuesday, that series. And Brandon, you got a series you're going to talk about here in the Japanese Professional League. So talk to us here. Who are you focusing on this week?
Yeah, I'm focusing on the SoftBank Fukuoka Hawks I'm focusing on the Yomiuri Giants and the Hiroshima Carp. Sorry about that. Yeah, and I'm focusing on this series because it's kind of rare in Japan where we get 2 really good lineups and 2 really bad bullpens. So, if you followed me for a while and you read my analysis, you know what I like to do in that situation when I have 2 good lineups. So let me tell you how good the lineups are and how bad the bullpens are. So there are 12 teams in Japanese baseball. These lineups are ranked number 2 and number 4. The Hiroshima Carp did lose one of their best players, Seiya Suzuki. He plays now for the Chicago Cubs, and he's doing quite well. And I was expecting quite a big drop-off from their lineup when Suzuki went to the major leagues. However, they've improved because they brought two young guys in, and they have an import hitter named McBroom, and he is crushing it. So they've actually added to their lineup. The Hiroshima Carp are crushing balls right now. As far as league WOBA rank, they're ranked number 4. So, and the Yomiuri Giants are ranked number 2. So how bad are the bullpens? Well, I have these out of 12 teams. We have the number 9 and number 11 ranked bullpens. So they're awful. And to make things even worse, neither team has a very good starting pitching. So in this series, starting with today, if you see any 7s or any 6s in this series, I definitely would recommend betting the overs. These are going to be played in a neutral site field. Outside, it's very muggy and it's very hot in Japan right now. So I expect balls to travel. So I'm all over the overs in this upcoming series with the Yomiuri Giants and Hiroshima Carp. So for the next 3 days, we might get some rain, but in the next 3 days, if you see any 6s, jump all over it. If you see any 7s or 7.5s, I would definitely take that too. I track stats, how often teams go over 6 runs. The Hiroshima Carp go over 6 runs 51% of the time. The Yomiuri Giants go over 6 runs 65% of the time. So jump on the overs in this series is my advice.
Damn. Okay, there you go. Those are the kinds of edges we are talking about here this week, guys. And now, of course, when you put it all together, there's going to be a best bet somewhere in here. So, Trig, kick us off here. You kind of teased it, so I think there's a dog somewhere in here. Talk to us. Where are you going here for a best bet this week?
Yeah, so 4% best bet for me, Hanwha plus 1.5. Talked about this when we broke down the series. I like the spot for Hanwha at home. I think they're a scrappy team that's probably undervalued right now. They had some really brutal injury luck with the pitching, and it sort of caused them to tailspin over the last couple of weeks. But they get a win on Sunday to snap the losing streak, and now Nick Kingham's going to be back probably next week or the week after. Ryan Carpenter could be back as soon as this week. And Carlos Saburo, their manager, I really like this guy. He is a former MLB. I think he was a third base coach for the Brewers. So he's an American coach that's now in Korea. He has completely changed the culture of this team, which has been a last place team for a few years. They're just playing better baseball than they were. They're finally getting some production out of Mike, import player. Mike Couchman's having a nice season. I love that they have him leading off. And they're just scrappy. Like, this is the type of team I'm probably not going to bet them to win many games in just on a straight money line. But when I can get them plus 1.5 at a very reasonable price, like, they hang around in games and they really tend to not quit. So, I think that in this spot, Samsung's got a guy on the mound that I want to play against right now because he's leaving everything up. And, if you know anything about baseball, you don't want to miss up. That's pretty much standard across any level of play. You got a pitcher that consistently missing up. It's probably not going to bode well for them, and that I would say is reflected in Jung Hyun Baek's numbers so far this year because he has not been good. Han was going to go with a bullpen game, which I think is fine here. They had the day off yesterday. They didn't burn up their bullpen too much on Sunday. So I'm willing to take my chances that they can mix and match and go after that soft spot in the Samsung lineup, which is hitters 6 through 9. Samsung's bottom of their order is not good. Top of their order with Jose Perella and some of those guys are as good as you'll find in the league, but 6 through 9 in that Samsung lineup is not good. So in the end, I just really like the matchup for Hanwha. I think it's a great spot for them. I'm getting a free run at minus 115. So yeah, I'm gonna ride Hanwha. They got a win on Sunday. I think they can come out and play good enough to win here. And if they don't win, I'm hoping it's a 1-run game and I cash it anyway. So Hanwha plus 1.5. That's a 4% best bet for me tonight.
All right, love it, guys. Hop all over that opportunity, certainly knocking. And now I believe would be the time to talk about SoftBank Hawks. If I was you there, Brandon, go ahead, lay it on us. Give us that best bet.
I'm all over the place. I'm crazy. I'm just like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, here we go. SoftBank Hawks and the Cebu Lions is my best bet for today. And here's the reason. SoftBank is putting out a starter named Higashihama. I don't know if any of you have heard of Higashihama, but he just threw a no-hitter last week, and he's pitching great. He's an Okinawa-born pitcher to throw a no-hitter, and he's having a great season. His season whip is 0.82. His season ERA is 2.45. He's just pitching great. We have Cebu Lions starter is Yoza. Yoza, he was a bet against, but every time I bet against him, he kills me. So, and he comes out and has a good game. So we got two pitchers, and he's basically a reliever. And the Lions have the best bullpen in Japan right now. So I'm pretty confident their bullpen can hold up behind Yoza. SoftBank has just come off 2 games where they scored 0 runs in each game. They're the worst hitting team in the last week. So we got 2 teams that are hitting very cold. We got 2 really good bullpens, and we got 1 pitcher who just came off a no-hitter. So this number came out. I was expecting it to be 6 or 5. It came out 7.5. So I'm all over the under 7.5 in this game. SoftBank Hawks and the Cebu Lions. One other thing is I'm kind of a stat geek. I do all my numbers. I take the pitchers, how they performed in the first 7 innings, the first 5 innings, and then I do a system numbers, and I take my system numbers and I go against the hard numbers. And both of my numbers total for this game come out exactly the same at 5.7. Wow. So I'm all over the under 7.5 here.
All right, he's all over the under in this one here, guys, for a best bet. And do not forget, we've got best bets tonight, too. Trig, in fact, got a 5% MLB best bet up. And do not forget that Brandon, he's got a 4% best bet up in the MLB. The best part about this, guys, just $9 right now. Take advantage. Hop on those plays tonight. And then, of course, while it is $9 Monday, you definitely want to make sure you visit Adam's page as well as Tokyo Brandon's page. And do not forget, they laid it out pretty well here, guys. Some very interesting angles on a few series coming up. A couple of best bets here for the KBO and the Japanese Professional League. No reason not to make it an extremely profitable start to the week. Not to mention, you go get those 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages, and you'll get every one of their plays, including all of their 5% best bets, and you never have to worry about it. So visit Trig now, visit Tokyo Brandon, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell in the upper right-hand corner. You'll also get notified when we go live. We'll do this again on Thursday for another edition of the KBO Show, getting you ready, of course, for the weekend series as we are cruising through the season here, but much, much more money to be made here, guys. So on behalf of Trig and Tokyo Brandon, guys, we appreciate the time. Best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again on Thursday. Good luck.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.